Keep up to date everywhere. News Talk 820 WBAP.
In the WBAP newsroom.
The Fed announcing a interest rate hike just the other day. Hal, what does that mean?
I was going to try to borrow $4 million before noon today.
You better get there fast, and because the price is going up. What does it mean, though, in our personal finances? How is it going to affect your everyday
really
spending or borrowing? And let's go to Leonard Raskin, the CEO of Raskin Global. Good morning, Leonard.
Good morning.
Tell us what this means for the average consumer. What is this? Is this a good thing? First of all, should we be aware of?
Well, the first thing is whether you are a borrower or a saver. So let's start with your borrowing audience. If you're a borrower, you talked about getting a $4 million loan. You might be able to get some good terms on that if you have good credit. But
I have to say, Leonard, I was just teasing.
Yeah, I figured that. If you're in the credit card marketplace, you can put that $4 million on your credit card. You might see an uptick in the rates on your credit card. So if you've got a credit card balance and you're paying 10, 12, 15%, you're liable to see an increase in that as banks increase their prime lending rate, so you might see a quarter-point jump in your credit card interest rate. Quite frankly, you should be getting rid of that debt, so you shouldn't be carrying that, and as a result, then you wouldn't have to worry about it, but it's something to be aware of. If you're going out to buy a car loan, 4-year, 5-year car loan, these days you can get a 7-year car loan, you might see an increase in the current new borrowing rate. So you could probably get a new car loan in the 2.5 rate. That might go between 2.5 and 3. If you're looking at a mortgage, probably not a problem. The 10-year Treasury generally sets mortgage rates for the 30-year loan. Those rates have jumped up a little bit, but you're not going to really see a significant effect yet on mortgages. Another raise or two by the Fed, that might matter a little more.
Eric, we're talking with Leonard Raskin of Raskin Global. The Fed bumped up the interest rates just a bit yesterday. And Leonard, I go back to days of 15% interest on mortgages. I can remember those days. And I look at interest rates now as almost free money still to me, the low rates that we do have today. But with that being said, the bump up, we haven't had a lot of those. Is that good, a little bump every now and then? And if not, have we had a stagnant economy?
Absolutely. The bump is good, and the stagnant economy has pretty much been the case. The fact of the matter is, we went 8 years without significant growth in gross domestic product. We're going to see some of that hopefully jump up as we get some regulatory relief and some tax relief. And that's what the Fed is kind of projecting forward. They're saying, hey, this economy might get a little frothy. And so we don't want it to get ahead of itself. We don't want to see big inflation. We want to calm the train down. As you said, there's been pretty much free money. I can remember 15% mortgages telling people to refinance.
Right.
Rates went down to 13 and then down to 10 and then down to 8. And look, you're still at 45-year lows.
Remember when 10% was that magic number, and everybody just went crazy at 10? I mean,
it was gold.
Yeah, it was gold.
If you could refinance at 10%, you'd be set for life. Now people are upset because their mortgage, if they went to get a new house on a 30-year loan, instead of being 4, it's going to be 4.25.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't worry about it.
Right.
You'll be fine.
Leonard, on the savings side, is there an incentive here to put money in savings, or should we park that money somewhere else? I mean, is that still a good bet to park some cash in a savings account?
Well, it's always a good bet or a good idea, to park some reserve money. There's no question about that. I don't like savings too much for it because the banks don't have any reason to pay you for it. Right now, they're paying a whopping 0.1%, or maybe you go online and find a bank that'll pay you 1%. The one thing this rate hike won't do is cause the banks to raise their savings rates a whole heck of a lot. They're still lending at the 15, 16, and they're happy to borrow from you and I on savings at that 0.1 or 0.5%.
Yep.
They're not looking to jump their savings rates. There's better places to park cash if you want to. Good old-fashioned whole life insurance, universal life insurance, somewhere where you're going to get a strong rate of return on that policy and some tax favorability and some other things as well is a much better place to park money than a bank.
Leonard Raskin, thank you, pal. Thank you so much.
Great
Appreciate
stuff.
it. You know, Carter, my son Carter, he works for Merrill Lynch.
Right.
And we get together now and we talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's crazy.
He talks so far over my head.
In the late 70s, I know it goes over my head very, very quickly. I'm telling you, the very smart people in that industry, and thank goodness. in the late 70s, my parents were waiting to close on a house in Del Rio, Texas, and the rate jumped, and it went from like 12 to 14%.
Unbelievable rates back then.
I remember I got 4.25% on a 10-year note when I refinanced one of my properties, rental properties, and I was partying. I was celebrating 4.25.